Is it audible? ಹೇಳತ್ತದ್ರಿ?
Yes, sir.
Wait for a second, let all them log in. Okay. Okay, so today we will discuss about the marriage concept under Muslim law. Okay, so it is very interesting to understand the concept of marriage under Muslim law. Okay? So before that, I will make a differentiation of the concepts of marriage. Okay, what exactly a marriage under Muslim law and the concept which is adopted under the Hindu law, right? See, the marriage concept has certain different aspects regarding the customs which has been followed in the different religion, okay, or you can say different caste. Okay? See, basically, which you have studied in the last semester, that is the regarding the marriage, which is about under Hindu law, right? We came across the concepts of marriage under Hindu law, which is defined as a sacrament or it is a custom under Hindu law. Okay? See, under Hindu law, we say that it is a custom or it is a bondage of a between a husband and wife, okay, which is to legalize their procreation or which is legalizing the relationship of a husband and wife. ಈ ಹಿಂದೂ ಸಂಪ್ರದಾಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಸ್ಯಾಕ್ರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಅದ ರೀ. ಇದು ಒಂದು ಸ್ಯಾಕ್ರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಒಂದು ಸಾಂಪ್ರದಾಯಿಕ ಸಂಬಂಧಗಳು. ಹಿಂದೂ ಲಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಸಂಪ್ರದಾಯ ಸಂಬಂಧಿಗಳು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ ನಾವು, ಕಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ರಿಲೇಶನ್ಶಿಪ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ರೈಟ್? ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹಿಂದೂ ಸಂಪ್ರದಾಯ ಮತ್ತು ಹಿಂದೂ ಕಾನೂನು ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಸಂಪ್ರದಾಯ, ರೈಟ್? ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವೇನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹಿಂದೂ ಲಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಹಿಂದೂ ಸಂಪ್ರದಾಯ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 7 ಜನಪದ ಸಂಬಂಧ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ರಿಲೇಶನ್ಶಿಪ್ or ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಬಾಂಡೇಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಎ ಹಸ್ಬೆಂಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ವೈಫ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎ 7 what is a lifetime. Okay, so but so far as the concept of the Hindu law is to Muslim law is totally different, and it is very interesting to know about the concept of marriage under Muslim law. See, that marriage is a term which has been used under Arabic word, that is nikah, right? Is it audible? Is it audible? ಕೇಳತ್ತದ್ರಿ?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ ಲಾದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜಿಗೆ ಅರಬಿಕ್ ಶಬ್ದದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ನಿಕಾಹ, ರೈಟ್? NIKAH, ನಿಕಾಹ. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇದ್ರ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಬರಗಿತ್ತ ಮೊದಲು, ಈ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ನಾವು ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಾಗಿತ್ತ ಮೊದಲು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನಾವು ಹಿಂದೆ ಬೇರೆ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡಂದ್ರೆ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ರೈಟ್? ಯಾವ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟ್ ದ ಅದರ್ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ವಿಚ್ ಈಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ ಲಾ. That is contract 1. Okay? New last semester, we have studied about the contract under last semester. Okay? See, contract is an agreement between the two persons, isn't it? Section 2H Indian Contract Act, Section 2H says that an agreement enforceable by law is called a contract. Okay? That means to enter into a contract which has to be legally enforced, then it is called as a contract, right? That means an agreement between a two individual, right, which is enforceable by law, that means which is according to the law, then it is a contract, right? Contract ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ರಿ? ನಾವು ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಲಾ ದಾಗ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಏನ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಒಪ್ಪಂದ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಒಪ್ಪಂದ, ಇಬ್ಬರ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯ ನಡುವೆ ಆದಂತ ಒಪ್ಪಂದ, ಆ ಒಪ್ಪಂದ ಮತ್ತು ಕಾನೂನು ಬದ್ಧತೆವಾಗಿ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂದಾಗ ಅದು ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ರೈಟ್? ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ಡಿಟೇಲ್ ಹೇಳಲ್ರಿ. ನಮಗ ಯಾವ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತದ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ ಲಾಗ್ ಕವರ್ ಆಗ್ತದ, ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಬಲ್ ಆಗ್ತದ ಅಷ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ರೈಟ್? An agreement enforceable by law is called contract, right? ಸೊ ನಾನ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ದ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ದ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಹಿಂದೂ ಸಂಪ್ರದಾಯ ಪ್ರಕಾರ, ಹಿಂದೂ ಪದ್ಧತಿ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್, ಮದುವೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಒಂದು ಸಂಪ್ರದಾಯ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ, ರೈಟ್ ರೀ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ ಲಾ, ಅಂಡರ್ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ ಲಾ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಟೋಟಲಿ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್. ಅಂಡರ್ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ ಲಾ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಸಿವಿಲ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್, ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್, ರೈಟ್? It is not a sacrament. Okay? It is an agreement. It is a contract between a husband and wife. First thing, it is purely a civil contract, right? ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಪ್ಯೂರ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಿವಿಲ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ರೈಟ್? Contract is not for a temporary period. Remember, this contract is not for the temporary period, right? Second, so the Indian Contract Act dalli naven helತೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ an agreement which is enforceable by law, as we have studied under Indian Contract Act, an agreement which is enforceable by law, right? Or else you can say an agreement between the two individual, then it is a contract, right? So purely we can say that it is a civil contract. That means it is a contract between husband and wife, or else you can say entering into a civil contract under Muslim law. That means under Muslim law, it is a civil contract. Marriage is a civil contract, right? If marriage is a civil contract, sir, contract is applicable to the businesses. How it is applicable to the Muslim law? See, we say that it is a nature of civil contract, but actually we cannot say that absolutely it is taking the shape of business. It's not like a business, right? It is something which is called as a contract because we see the ingredient of Indian Contract Act in the marriage of Muslims, right? See, when the contract act, what are the essential ingredients? You know that, right? See, Faizi says that is Hidayah says that Hidayah is a Muslim law. He is a jurist or he is the author on Muslim law, authoritative author. He says that it is marriage and Muslim law is a civil contract, right? And the object of that contract or the object of that marriage is procreation and legalization of children, right? Hidayah yen heldanandre, Hidayah andre yaru andre he is an authoritative author on Muslim law. Avaru yen heltara antandra idu purely civil contract. Marriage ಅನ್ನೋದು ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ ಲಾದಾಗ ಇದು ಸಿವಿಲ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಅದ, ಮತ್ತು ಇದರದ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಏನು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರೊಕ್ರಿಯೇಷನ್ ಮತ್ತು ಲೀಗಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರನ್ ಅಂತ, ರೈಟ್? So Hidayah definition is appreciated and it is adopted under the Muslim law. Hello? Right. See, the next thing is, as I said, it is not only about the contract, it is also religious obligations. Right? Religious obligations, right? Prophet Muhammad says that those person who is in a capacity to marry should marry, right? He should marry if he has certain conditions which we will discuss under the further aspects, right? So Prophet Muhammad says that those who are follower of Prophet Muhammad, they should follow their sunnah, right? Andre Prophet Muhammad ಅವರು ಹೇಳೋ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಯಾವ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಅವನ ಕ್ಯಾಪಸಿಟಿ ಟು ಮ್ಯಾರಿ ಹನ, ರೈಟ್, ಆ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಆಗಲೇಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ರೈಟ್? ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಮೊಹಮ್ಮದ್ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿಕೆ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ, ರೈಟ್? ಸುನ್ನಾ, ದೋಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸುನ್ನಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಮೊಹಮ್ಮದ್. Now the very interesting aspect is how this marriage takes place, right? Marriage, you know that marriage is something we see the nature of contract, right? The nature of contract in the sense, it is a civil contract. When we say that it is a contract, there is an offer acceptance, right? There is another thing which we come across the contract, that is consideration, right? See, consideration is something which is, we can say, give and take, right? See, one person gives and another person takes. That means a person, there is an exchange of things, right? For a certain aspects, that is called consideration, right? Paying something for that is called consideration, or you can say the exact definition used under the Indian Contract Act is every promise, every set of promise forming a consideration of each other. That is called agreement, right? So the same thing, a consideration which we come across under the Indian Contract Act, we see in the figure that is called mahar, that is called dower, D-O-W-E-R, right? D-O-W-E-R, dower, right? Dower is something where a husband gives a consideration to his wife for marrying him. That is called dower, right? ಈಗ ನಾವು ಹಿಂದೂ ಲಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವಿ ವರದಕ್ಷಿಣೆ ಹಿಂದೂ ಲಾದಲ್ಲಿ ವರದಕ್ಷಿಣೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ ನಾವು. ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಬೇರೆ ವೈಫ್ ಬೇರೆ women gives something to the husband who is before marriage. That is called dowry, right? ವರದಕ್ಷಿಣೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದೇವಲ್ಲ ನಾವು, ರೈಟ್? ಹೆಣ್ಣಿನ ಕಡೆನವ್ರು ಹೆಂಗ್ ಗಂಡಿನ ಕಡೆನವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರ, ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರೇಷನ್ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ ಲಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಉಲ್ಟಾ ಅದ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರರಿ ಅಪೋಸಿಟ್. ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಹಸ್ಬೆಂಡ್ ಶುಡ್ ಗಿವ್ ಎ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರೇಷನ್ ಟು ಹಿಸ್ ವೈಫ್ ಫಾರ್ ಮ್ಯಾರಿಂಗ್, ರೈಟ್? ದಿಸ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಹರ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಒಂದು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಅದ ರೀ. ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ ದಿ ಲೇಟರ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ dower is something we call it as a consideration for marriage, right? And in Indian Contract Act ದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಗ್ರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಗೆ ನೀವು ಹೆಂಗ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಗೆ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರೇಷನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಿ, ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಗಂಡ ಅವನ ಹೆಂಡತಿಗೆ ಮೆಹರ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕೊಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಡವರ್ ಅಂತ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ದಾಗ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಅರೇಬಿಕ್ ದಲ್ಲಿ ಮೆಹರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಎ ಡವರ್ ಇನ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಟರ್ಮಿನಾಲಜಿ, ಅಂಡ್ ಇನ್ ಅರೇಬಿಕ್ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಎ ಮೆಹರ್, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ MEHR, right? See, when has to be meher when has to be paid and we will discuss that in a detail in a further aspects, right? But in a Muslim law, zina is not allowed. Zina is something adultery, right? Or you can say fornication, 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 or you can say adultery, right? Is not permissible under Muslim law. Legal sexual relations arises only after the marriage as per the Muslim law, right? So the object of marriage under Muslim law is something we can say that a procreation and legalizing the issues, right? That means a marriage new sexual release desires and sexual intercourse ಅನ್ನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು ಅಂದಾಗ the Muslim law clearly says that it should be according to the law. That is, it has to be undergoing the marriage, first thing. Second thing is that to legalize their children's, right, they should be born out of the marriage, right? This is what they say, that, right? If there is no marriage, if the children born, then those children were called as illegitimate children, as is the same which we come across under Hindu law, right? So now, who is the capacity to marry? It is very interesting, right? Who is the capacity to marry andaga? Under Muslim law, a legal capacity should be there. Legal capacity under yaar, right? Legal capacity means the person who is of a sound mind, right? First thing, first condition, that person should be a sound mind, right? That means andra ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಬುದ್ಧಿವಂತ ಇರಬೇಕಮ್ಮ, ಹುಚ್ಚಿರಬಾರದು, right? Sound mind ಇರಬೇಕು, first thing. Second thing is attaining the puberty. Very interesting aspect under the Muslim law. ಎರಡು ವಿಷಯ ತಾವು ತಲೆಗೆ ಇಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. Two things you should keep in your mind very clear, right? Age of majority, that is Indian Majority Act, right? And Child Marriage Act is not applicable to Muslims. Remember, right? Entry Indian Majority Act ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಕಾನೂನು ಅದ, ಮತ್ತು ಚೈಲ್ಡ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕಾನೂನು ಅದ, ರೈಟ್? ಇವು ಎರಡು ಲಾಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ ಲಾಗ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಬಲ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ತಲೆಗಿಟ್ಟು, ರೈಟ್? ಯಾಕೆ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಬಲ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಅಂದಾಗ, ದಿಸ್ ಆಸ್ ಪರ್ ದಿ ಖುರಾನ್ ಇಟ್ ಸೇಸ್ ದಟ್ ಪ್ಯೂಬರ್ಟಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಪ್ಯೂಬರ್ಟಿ ಈಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ಅಟೈನಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಏಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೆಜಾರಿಟಿ, ರೈಟ್? ಆರ್ ಎಲ್ಸ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸೇ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಸೈಂಟಿಫಿಕಲಿ ಸೇಡ್, ರೈಟ್? Attaining the age of majority, right? Or else now Indian Majority Act prakara age of majority is 18 years. Hindu law sampradaya prakara age of majority ಏನದ ಅಂತಂದ್ರಿ, right? Boy 21 years, girl 18 years, right? Then only they can go for the marriage. Then only it is called as a legal marriage. ಈಗ ಸಪೋಸ್ ಹುಡುಗಿ ವಯಸ್ಸು 18 ವರ್ಷ ಒಳಗಿತ್ತು ಅಂದಾಗ then it is an offense as per the Child Marriage Act, right? Puberty andrenu, it is a concept in a Muslim law wherein it says that attaining the age of majority, or else you can say another way of defining a puberty is where a girl is having a capacity to procure the child. It's another alternate definition, right? ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ ಲಾ ಪ್ರಕಾರ 18 ವರ್ಷ ಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ರೈಟ್. ನಾವು ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಮೆಜಾರಿಟಿ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವೇನ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮದುವೆ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹುಡುಗಿ ವಯಸ್ಸು 18 ವರ್ಷ ಬೇಕೇ ಬೇಕು. ರೈಟ್. ಹುಡುಗಿ ವಯಸ್ಸು 18 ವರ್ಷ ಒಳಗಿತ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರ ಅದು ಚೈಲ್ಡ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅಪರಾಧ. ರೈಟ್ ರೀ. ಸೊ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ ಲಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ರೈಟ್. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಫಾಲೋಡ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ ಲಾ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ದೇರ್ ಓನ್ ಕಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್. They say that age of maturity is 15 years. That is puberty. A girl attains the age of puberty at the age of 15 years. Right? That means at the age of 15 years, girl can go for the marriage. Now, 18 ವರ್ಷ ಮೆಜಾರಿಟಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ ಲಾದಲ್ಲಿ 15 ವರ್ಷ ಮೆಜಾರಿಟಿ. ಏಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ಯೂಬರ್ಟಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ರೈಟ್ ರೀ. ಈ ಪ್ಯೂಬರ್ಟಿ ಏಜ್ ಏನದ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ ಲಾದಲ್ಲಿ 15 ವರ್ಷ. It does not mean that girl can marry who's below the age of 15 years. Hangeniಲ್ಲ. Right? Girl can marry below 15 years, at the age below 15 years, right? But the consent should be given by the parents on behalf of that child. Right? ಅಂದ್ರೆ 15 ವರ್ಷ ಒಳಗಿದ್ರು ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಅದು ಇಲ್ಲೀಗಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ರೈಟ್. ಆದ್ರೆ 15 ವರ್ಷ ಒಳಗ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂದಾಗ ಅವ್ರ ಪ್ಯಾರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕನ್ಸೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಆನ್ ಬಿಹಾಫ್ ಆಫ್ ದಟ್ ಗರ್ಲ್. Right, this is the best definition. Right. So the first thing is she should the person who is marrying, the capacity to marry should be a sound mind. Second thing, he should be the girl should attain the age of puberty, that is 15 years. Third thing, when the question of puberty comes, remember Indian Majority Act is not applicable. Right. First thing. And second thing is Child Marriage Act is not applicable. Remember, these two things are very clear. Right. ಅಂದ್ರ 18 ವರ್ಷ ಒಳಗೂ ಮದುವೆ ಆಗಬಹುದು. ದೇ ಸೇ ದಟ್ ಏಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ಯೂಬರ್ಟಿ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 15 ವರ್ಷ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರ. 15 ವರ್ಷ ಒಳಗ ಆದ್ರೂ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ ಲಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಮದುವೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. ಮದುವೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡ್ರು ಚೈಲ್ಡ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಅಪರಾಧ ಅಲ್ಲ. ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಬಿಲೋ ದ ಏಜ್ ಆಫ್ 18 years the girl can marry, but the consent should be given by the parents of the girl. Second. Third thing is that free consent. Right? Consent of the parties are very much necessary. Right? Consent of the parties means as we studied in the Indian Contract Act, free consent ಇರಬೇಕು, ಬೆದರಿಕೆ ಇರಬಾರದು, undue influence ಇರಬಾರದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. That means there should not be any threat. Right? There should not be any force on the parties to the marriage. Those who are marrying, there should not be any force, ಬೆದರಿಕೆ ಅಥವಾ there is a threat to a marriage. Then in such circumstances, Muslim law clearly says that it is not a valid marriage. Right? So free consent of the parties are appreciated and considered under the Muslim law. Right? Next, lunatic and minors. As I said, lunatic and minors can also marry, but the permission or the consent should be given by the parents of the particular parties. Right? These are the capacity to marry. Right? Capacity to marry bandaga, first remember both the parties should be of a sound mind. Right? Option of puberty, that means the girl attains the age of 15 years called as a puberty, but Hidayah says that boy of 12 years, girl of 9 years, at the age they attain the puberty. If the girl attains the age of 9 years and boy attains the age of 12 years. Right? And third thing is that free consent of the parties is very much necessary. Right? There should not be any threat or undue influence. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತ ಬೆದರಿಕೆಯನ್ನ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಮ್ಯಾಗ ಇರಬಾರದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ರೈಟ್. ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಥವಾ ಬೆದರಿಕೆಯನ್ನ ಹಾಕಿ ಮದುವೆ ಮಾಡಪ್ಲೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ವಿತೌಟ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಥ್ರೆಟ್ ದ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಇನ್ ದಿ ಫ್ರೀ ಕನ್ಸೆಂಟ್. ರೈಟ್. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಕಮ್ ಅಕ್ರಾಸ್ ದ ನೇಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್. ರೈಟ್. ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಏನು ನೇಚರ್ ಅನ್ನು ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿಡ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದ ನೇಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್, ಸೇಮ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಬಲ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ದಿ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ law. But remember, we say that it is a religious bondage, or you can say religious obligations. Right? It is also stated that not only it is a civil contract, it is a religious obligation. Remember, right? Religious obligation because Prophet Muhammad says that the person who is in a capacity should marry. Right? So this is what this capacity to marriage. Right? The next aspect is there are three categories of marriages. Right? One is valid Shahi marriage. Another one is irregular marriage. That is irregular marriage, fasid marriage. Another one is void marriage, that is batil marriage. Right? Three forms of marriages. Batav. ಮೊದಲನೇದು ವ್ಯಾಲಿಡ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್, A valid marriage ಗೆ ನಾವೇನಂತೀವಿ ಶಾಹಿದ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ SAHIH, ರೈಟ್. ವ್ಯಾಲಿಡ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಗೆ ಅರಬಿಕ್ ದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಂತೀವಿ ಶಹಿ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್, SAHIH. ಇರ್ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಗೆ ನಾವೇನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಫಾಸಿದ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್, FASID, ಫಾಸಿದ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್. ವೈಡ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಗೆ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಬಾತಿಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್, ರೈಟ್. See, these are the three forms of marriages, right, which we come across in the Marriages Act, right. See, further aspects I will discuss tomorrow. If you have any doubts, please raise. ಹೇಳತ್ತದ್ರಿ
Yes, sir.
ಸೌಂಡ್ ಬರಲಾಗ್ಯದ. ಸೊ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಏನ್ರಿ, ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ ಲಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಇಸ್ ಸಿವಿಲ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್, ಪ್ಯೂರ್ಲಿ ಸಿವಿಲ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್, ಅಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ರಿಲಿಜಿಯಸ್ ಆಬ್ಲಿಗೇಷನ್, ರೈಟ್.
Yes.
It is a civil contract and it is a religious obligations. Indian Contract Act ingredient and applicable ಆಗ್ತವ. We come across the ingredients of Indian Contract Act, right? That is section 10. That is, both the parties should be of a sound mind, free consent ಬೇಕು. There should not be any coercion, undue influence, misrepresentation, right? Remember the nature or what do you say, how the marriage is solemnized is, it has to be solemnized by the two witnesses, right? Either one female or two male witnesses who should be of a Mohammedans, who should have, they should be a major, right? They should be of a sound mind, right? Those can go for becoming the witnesses for the marriages, right? There should be a proposal and acceptance. Remember, proposal and acceptance ಎರಡು ಒಂದೇ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕ್ರಿ, ರೈಟ್. ಈಗ ನಾ ಹುಡುಗ ಪ್ರಪೋಸ್ ಮಾಡದನ್ನು ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಮ್ಯಾರಿ, that girl should not wait for the period, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಪ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. Simultaneously she should give acceptance to the proposal, right? Acceptance given before the witnesses. Those witnesses are capacity to become a witnesses, right? Those witnesses will convey the message of acceptance to the bridegroom, right? ಹುಡುಗಗ್ ಹೋಗಿ ಆ ಹುಡುಗಿ ಏನು ವಿಟ್ನೆಸಸ್ ಮುಂದೆ ಕಬೂಲ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಳ, ಅವ್ರ ವಿಟ್ನೆಸಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಹೋಗಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಕನ್ವೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ವೆ ಮಾಡೋ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಟು ದಿ ವುಮೆನ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಗರ್ಲ್. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಟ್? ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಮೆಹರ್, ರೈಟ್? ರಿಗಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ದಿ consideration amount or regarding the dower amount. After that, if she gives a consent, those will go and convey the acceptance of that to the Qazi. Then later on, it will be called as a valid marriage. But remember, there is not particular ritual or ceremonies which has to be undergone under Muslim law, right? But purely we come across the provisions of Indian Contract Act, which is very much important as per the Muslim law in respect of marriage, right? There are other things, that is iddat period, right? We will discuss about those aspects in the next class, right? Do you have any doubts regarding that?
It's clear, sir.
Okay. Alright, so definitely there will be a question on this. ಇದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರ್ರಿ, ರೈಟ್? ಒಂದೊಂದ್ಸಲ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಕೇಳ್ರಿ. It is not a sacrament, it is not a custom as we come across under Hindu law, right? And remember, they can go for the 4 marriage. Under Muslim law, it is permissible to have 4 marriages, right? But remember, all 4 marriages, but remember the Quran says that the capacity of a person should be there, right? And second thing is that Muslim law permits the person to marry for 4 marriages, right? He can go for the other marriage also, but he has to dissolve the marriage, any one of the 4 among 4, then only 4th is valid, 5th is valid. And after the dissolution of marriage, he can go for the other marriages, but it is permissible to go for 4 marriages. But remember, it's not like that everyone is going for the 4 marriages. He should have a capacity to maintain the all, right? That was the concept adopted under the Muslim law, right? So with this, I will discuss
Sir, one doubt, sir.
ಕೇಳ್ರಿ.
ಸರ್, ಈಗ ಇಂಟರ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಇದು ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಯಾವ ಲಾ ಮೇಲೆ ಬರ್ತದೆ ಸರ್? ಹಿಂದೂ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್?
ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್.
ಓಕೆ.
ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ 1956 ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್. ಇಂಟರ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಗೌಂಡ್ ಬೈ ದಿ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್, ರೈಟ್ ರೀ. ಈಗ ಇಂಟರ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಐದರ್ ಇನ್ ಹಿಂದೂಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಂಟರ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್, ರೈಟ್, ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ, ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂದಾಗ ದೇ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೌಂಡ್ ಬೈ ದಿ ಹಿಂದೂ ಲಾ, ರೈಟ್, ದೇ ಆರ್ ಗೌಂಡ್ ಬೈ ದಿ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಇಫ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಹಿಂದೂ ಅಂಡ್ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಗೌಂಡ್ ಬೈ ದಿ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್, ರೈಟ್. ಅದ್ರ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ ಲಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರ, ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ ಲಾ ಸೇಸ್ ದಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ವಿತ್ ದಿ ಅದರ್ ವುಮೆನ್, ರೈಟ್, who is non-Muslim, for example Christians, right, those marriages are irregular marriages, right, first thing. And a Muslim man marrying a non-Muslim who is Hindu, right, it is a void marriage, because Muslim concept is very clear that they don't believe in idolism, idolatrix. That means they don't go for the idolship, right. It is against their what do you say, principles. Okay, marriage with the non-Muslim, specifically if it is Hindu, it is a void marriage, right. We see a different categories of marriages, that is valid, irregular and void. Next class ದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಯಾವಾಗ ವ್ಯಾಲಿಡ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ವ್ಯಾಲಿಡ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 10 ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಬರಲೇಬೇಕು. ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 10 ಅಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ, as I repeated now, sound mind, free consent, no force, no threat, 2 witnesses for the marriage, right. Those things should be compulsorily followed to have a valid marriage. Irregular marriage ಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ವೈಡ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಗೆ ಏನು ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. Irregular marriage means it is not according to the what do you say, customs, right, one thing. Wide marriage is totally, it is not valid, right. Irregular marriage can become a regular marriage, ಅದು ವ್ಯಾಲಿಡ್ ಆಗಬಹುದು, ಆದ್ರೆ ವೈಡ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ವ್ಯಾಲಿಡ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್, ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಏನದಂದ್ರೆ ಇರ್ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ವೈಡ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಗೆ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಏನು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ವೈಡ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿ ಬಿಗಿನಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಝೀರೋ. ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್, ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ನೋ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಅಂಡರ್ ದಿ ಲಾ, ರೈಟ್. ಅದು ನೀವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಸೀದಾ ಮಾಡೋದಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಯು ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇಟ್, ಯು ಕೆನಾಟ್ legalize it later on. But irregular marriages, there are certain lapses at the time of marriage or after the marriage. Those lapses can be corrected, right. If it is corrected, then it becomes a valid marriage, right. So this is the difference, right. Irregular marriage valid ಆಗಬಹುದು, ಆದ್ರೆ wide marriage irregular ನೂ ಆಗಲ್ಲ, valid ನೂ ಆಗಲ್ಲ, totally zero, it has no value, it is not according to the Muslim law. The law says that wide marriages are not permissible and those marriages are not considered as a valid marriages under the Muslim law, right. This is the concept which we are going to discuss in the next class. Option of puberty ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಬರ್ತದ್ರಿ, puberty ಮ್ಯಾಗೆ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ತಲೆಗೆ ಇಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ. there is no confusion, that is Indian Majority Act and Child Marriage Act is not applicable to the Muslims. ತಲೆಗೆ ಇಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, right. If a girl who is below the age of 15 years can marry, but remember the consent should be given by the guardian of that girl, right. Now the next question is, sir, take for example, if a girl attains the age of 18 years, right. When the marriage took place, when the girl was below 15 years, when she attains the age of 18 years, right, now she realizes that no, she is not accepting the marriage, she can reboot the marriage. There are certain conditions, right. ಆ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜ್ ಗೆ ರಿಫ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, ರೈಟ್. ಅದು ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಮುಂದಿನ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ದಲ್ಲಿ. ಎನಿ ಡೌಟ್ಸ್?
ನೋ ಸರ್.
Shall I wind up?
Yes, sir.
Right. ಇದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ನೋಡ್ರಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ 100%. ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಆನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾರೇಜಸ್, ರೈಟ್. ಯು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಬಿ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟಿವ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ದಿ ಕ್ಲಾಸಸ್, ರೈಟ್. ಆನ್ ಮಂಡೇ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಎಂಗೇಜ್. ಟುಮಾರೋ, ನಾಳೆ ಎಂಗೇಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದ್ರಿ, ಸಂಡೇ. Shall I engage class tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
One
sir.
and half hours ತೋತಿನ್ರಿ. ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ಯಾವ ಕಮೆಂಟ್ರಿ ಓದ್ಬೇಡ್ರಿ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು. ಡೋಂಟ್ ಗೋ ಫಾರ್ ಕಮೆಂಟ್ರಿ ಬುಕ್ಸ್, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಗೋ ಫಾರ್ ಲಾ ಸೀರೀಸ್.
Okay, sir.
Commentary oath battery, please. Commentary oath battery, it is becomes tough for you. You go for the law series. Okay. Tomorrow at what time?
11.
Hatuktondi?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.